All right. Do we have a quorum?
We do. Yep.
Okay. All right. Great. I will go ahead and call this meeting to order then. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Northern Middlesex Metropolitan Planning Organization. Not sure if you have an agenda handy, if you want to just share screen with that, that'd be great. All right, thank you. First item on our agenda is welcome and introductions. So I'll start with introductions. If NMCOG staff would like to kind of read the roll of members, we'll see who's present here.
Sure. Derek Schuster.
This is Derek Cravat here from both Derek's. Derek is on as well, but Derek Cravat here representing Mascot Secretary and CEO Gina Fiandaca.
And Brian Fallon representing Mascot District 4.
Hi, Brian Fallon representing Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
NMCOG Chair Andrew Delaria.
Here.
NMCOG MPO Representative Pat Wojcik.
Here.
LRTA Board Chair Tom Baumel. Tom's not here. LRTA representative from a community outside of Lowell, it's Karen Julio. And then NMCOG Counselor and MPO representative from the city of Lowell, that's Dan Rourke. He is not here. That completes the roll.
Okay, thank you, Jessica, and welcome everybody. Move on to our next item, which is approval of the June 28th, 2023 meeting minutes. Can I have a motion and second to endorse these minutes as shown here?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Great. Motion having been made and seconded, go ahead and call the roll, Jessica. Oh, are there any, I should ask if there's any comments or questions over this.
I do have,
Yeah, go ahead,
one,
yeah.
I think it was a typo on page 5. If you go to page 5 of the minutes. Is that, I don't think that's page 5. Is it maybe the, oh, it is, okay. Yeah, it says the fourth line down aims to develop a holistic, well-defined strategy to prevent roadway vitalities. I think that's supposed to be fatalities. Unless I'm wrong.
Good catch.
Good catch. Thank you. I will let our administrator know.
All right. Excellent. So perhaps if we're Pat, I think you made the motion. If you want to just revise that to include endorsement pending that revision.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on the minutes? All right. Seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Jessica.
Pat Wojcik.
Yes.
Andrew Delaria.
Yes.
Do I need to call the whole list or just
Yes. Yeah. If you could call the full list of members.
Derek Cravat,
Yes.
Brian Fallon?
Yes.
That's it. Thank you.
Are there no other MPO members present? Or
There are
just-
no other MPO members, but Karen.
Okay.
has
There's
joined.
4 of us here. Okay. Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is status report on TIP projects under design and construction. Turn it over to District 4.
Hello, Tim Paris, District 4 Planning. Only a few minor revisions to list this month. Project number 613268 Tingsboro Culvert Replacement on Westford Road. That was assigned to project manager. And 612658 Tewksbury Bridge Preservation, I-495 over Route 133 and over Route 38. That project has been advertised, as well as 612656 Westford Bridge Preservation, I-485 over Concord and Boston Road. That also has been advertised. I don't have any more information than is over in those the comments on the side on the far right. Notice to proceed on 6/8 was issued for the Westford one, and the bids were opened July 25th, but they haven't selected a low bid yet on the other. And that's all of the updates.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Any questions for Tim?
Yeah, I do have one question on project 608076. It's Route 495 rest area in Chelmsford. Do you know what that's going to involve? And I noticed that there's no dollar amounts associated with it.
Pat, can you repeat the project number, please?
608076.
Thank you.
Yeah, right there. Oh, it does have some dollars now. When on the version that we got didn't have any amounts on it. But anyway, can you tell me a little bit about what that's gonna involve? If anybody knows.
Hi, Pat. This is Brian Fallon from District 4. I'm gonna have to check into that for you. It's vertical construction, so they're obviously gonna be working on the building. So let me look into that. I'll contact the project manager and get you an update.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, it's Karen Pulio. Just one question, and I apologize. I know this has come up in past meetings. When the ad date says 2050, is there, I know it's obviously, it's some future time. What does that date mean though? What is the kind of the meaning behind it?
It just means that the date hasn't actually been set yet. Generally, it's for projects that haven't been scheduled on a tip. So they're perfectly valid projects and everything. They're just not working.
Right. So they're not on a tip. So technically they don't have funding yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Tim. Any other questions for Tim? All right, seeing none, we can move on to our next item, which is open forum public comment. Is there anyone present that would like to make a comment at this time? All right, seeing none, move on to our next agenda item, which is fiscal year 23 to 27 Transportation Improvement Program Amendment number 5. Turn it over to NMCOG staff to walk through the details.
Thank you, Derek. So in the previous MPO meeting, I presented summaries of a draft amendment to federal fiscal year 2023 and 2024 of federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 Northern Middlesex Transportation Improvement Program TIP. And this amendment involves the programming of new projects listed on the screen. MPO released the draft document for a 21-day comment period, and no comments were received. So I request a vote from the MPO members to endorse federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 Northern Middlesex Transportation Improvement Program TIP Amendment number 5.
Thank you, Shravanti. I'll ask for a motion and second to endorse this amendment as presented.
I'll make a motion to endorse.
Second.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments or questions on the amendment? All right, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll.
Derek Cravat,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Andrew Delaria,
Yes.
Pat Wojcik,
Yes.
and Karen Pulio.
Yes.
Thank you.
That passes. Thank you, everyone. Move on to our next item, which is 23 to 27 TIP amendment number 6. This one being proposed for a release for public comment. Turn it back over to staff to talk through it.
Thanks again, Derek. So presented here is the summary narrative of Amendment 6 to the federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program TIP for Northern Middlesex region. Amendment 6 involves programming of project 608774 Lowell Tewksbury Route 38 intersection improvements from federal fiscal year 2023 to 2024. The information on the project and the cost is displayed on the screen. I request a vote from MPO members to release this proposed amendment for a 21-day public comment period starting July 28th until August 17th, and a public comment meeting will be held on August 8th via Zoom. Comments on this amendment can be emailed to the email address on the screen, or it can be mailed to our office. Following the comment period, NMCOG staff will address the comments, and the MPO will meet again next month, August 23rd, to hear any comments received and consider endorsement of this document.
Great, thank you, Shrivanti. So I'll ask for a motion and second to release this amendment for a public comment period as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. All right, motion having been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on what's happening with the project? Essentially just changing the years of funding from 23 to 24 due to concerns with the project's readiness. So, all right, not seeing any questions, so go ahead and call the roll.
Derek Kravat,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Andrew Deloria,
Yes.
Pat Wojcik,
Yes.
Karen Fulio.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Move on to agenda item 7, which is draft fiscal year 23 to 27 tip adjustment 2, which is related to transit funding. So I'll turn it back over to staff.
Thanks again, Derek. So presented here is a summary narrative of adjustment 2. This involves changes to existing LRTA projects that are funded with 100% state RTA CAP funding. Projects include rehab ADA commuter access way. There is a decrease in cost. S&B fare collection upgrades. There's a decrease in cost. And facilities, equipment, spare parts, and IT, there's an increase in cost. This adjustment doesn't require a vote from the MPO members, and this is only presented for informational purposes.
Thank you, Shrivanti. Any questions from members? All right, seeing none, Derek Schuster.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I was just gonna note that I believe this needs a vote. It just doesn't need a 21-day public comment release because it's a tip adjustment to statewide funding.
Is everyone comfortable with that? Maybe just take a vote to be safe. All right. I'll ask for a motion and second to approve these cost changes as an adjustment as they were presented.
So moved.
All right, thank you. Motion having been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on what's happening with these products? All right, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Derek Kravat,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Andrew Deloria,
Yes.
Pat Wojcik,
Yes.
and Karen Fulio.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone. Move on to our next item, which is the draft coordinated public transit human services plan. Potential action for endorsement of this. So turn it back over to NMCOG staff.
Thank you. So we released the draft coordinated public human services plan last MPO meeting. That was the MPO meeting in the month of June. And we did receive one public comment on the draft. And I have a member of the public, Andrew Jennings, on the call. Andrew, if you'd like to unmute yourself and share some of your comments, you're welcome to do so.
Yeah, as I look at the draft plan and compare it with the 2020 plan, it appears that human services public transportation has had a significant setback. For example, the 2023 Roadrunner ridership is significantly down from both the 2021 and 2022 ridership, despite the fact that as the draft plan clearly shows, the senior population is greatly increasing in the area. I think when comparing the plans, we need to, the draft plan needs clear goals and objectives as the 2020 plan did. And I also think that the plan needs to be very clear that improving the human services coordinated public transit is a priority, because there is a significant drop off in ridership that I don't think is totally explained by the COVID crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Jessica or others, did anyone want to respond to that, or have these comments been incorporated? Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Happy to do so. So we have, this is Andrew's public comment up on the screen that you see here, and we have a written response that will be included in the appendix of the draft coordinated plan. But I'd also like to share on the call today that in response to Andrew's comments, we have worked throughout the report to address exactly who the plan is directed towards. And the plan is a requirement of 5310 funding from the Federal Transportation Administration. And in order to receive that funding, direct recipients and subrecipients must have an updated coordinated human services plan, and the report is updated triannually. In the case of the Northern Middlesex, the LRTA is a direct recipient, and our councils on aging are subrecipients of that funding. Therefore, the plan is directed towards the LRTA and their subrecipients. I've gone ahead and included that in the plan to make that a little bit clearer. And also, as noted, NMCOG stands ready to support our communities in improving transit for seniors under 5310 funding. The challenges in this report have been identified, and NMCOG can establish goals to advance the development of this plan further, but support from our transit authority, the LRTA, and other regional partners is required for the success in the implementation of this plan to achieve our regional goals and priorities. This is especially important as we move forward post-pandemic. Those comments have been included in the report to help clarify that, but we're really looking for regional support in order to move forward with the goals. We can write goals as part of the coordinated plan, but to achieve those goals, we really need to see strong cooperation and collaboration from all of our regional partners. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Are there other comments or questions on this plan? All right. Do folks feel comfortable taking up a motion? I'll ask for a motion to endorse the draft coordinated human services public transportation plan. You know, provided that, you know, staff incorporate these comments, which it sounds like you have, Jessica, and work to address them going forward. So ask for that motion now.
I'll make a motion to endorse.
All right, motion having been made and seconded. Any other comments or suggestions, questions? All right, seeing none, go ahead and read the roll.
Thank you. Derek Cravat,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Andrew DeLoria,
Yes.
Pat Wojcik,
Yes.
Karen Pulio.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone, and thanks for the comments, Andrew. I think, you know, a lot of really great points there, and something that we'll be sure to work with staff on addressing, and you know, thinking about future iterations of the plan, and obviously there's some time between this one and the next one, so we'll be sure to keep all of that in mind going forward. So just thank you for the comments on that. Very insightful. So move on to the next item, which is the draft long-range transportation plan and vision 2050. This one being proposed to release for a public comment period. So turn it back over to NMCOG staff once again.
Shravanti, would you like me to introduce you?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, that's all right. So Kelly Lanamo, Deputy Director of NMCOG. I just wanted to introduce Shrivanti and Jessica and just thank them for the incredible amount of work that they've put into this plan. So Shrivanti is, the two of them are going to provide an overview of the plan and invite your comments afterward.
Thank you, Kelly. I'll quickly share the screen.
Okay, so I'll do the first half of the presentation and then Shrivanti will pick up about midway through.
Does everyone see the right screen? Jessica, could you confirm?
Yep, it's perfect.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead.
So this is our presentation on Envision 2050. That's our long-range regional transportation plan for the Northern Middlesex region. Next slide, please. On the agenda for today, we will start off by providing an overview of Envision 2050. We'll finish up with our recommendations and then hope to have this plan released to the public for a 21-day public comment period. Next slide. What is a regional transportation plan? The plan objectives are to establish a clear guide that identifies and analyzes our region's transportation infrastructure and service-related improvements. The plan objectives are to direct transportation investment priorities over a minimum of a 20-year time horizon for all modes of transportation, and to provide data and projected transportation trends and design systems to respond to these trends. It's important to note that in order for a project to be listed on the transportation improvement plan program, it must be included in our long-range regional transportation plan. Next slide. Envision 2050 is our comprehensive vision for the future of transportation in the NMCOG region. By projecting and planning and anticipated growth over a period of 30 years, this plan will establish a foundation for cost-effective, energy-efficient, and equitable transportation options for all users. The topic areas covered in this plan are economic vitality, safety, infrastructure, environmental and climate resiliency, accessibility and mobility options, connectivity, and equity, with an emphasis on communities that have been historically marginalized. Next slide. Currently, we are in the third phase, as you can see on the timeline here. We're hoping to release this draft this month for the 21-day public comment period, and then have the plan fully endorsed in the month of August. This project started back in November of 22, so we've been working on this for quite some time. Next slide. The goals and performance measures for the transportation plan are listed on the screen. You'll see the first three goals. The goals and performance measures are extremely useful in the regional planning process, and they help provide the necessary direction and basic framework upon which future decisions can be made and metrics are assigned to help measure the success. These goals have been developed in coordination with federal transportation planning factors that have been set forth by the FAST Act. It identifies performance measures or the metrics used to monitor the performance of regional transportation systems and to gauge our project progress towards those goals. The first goal is improve the safety of our transportation system for all users, efficiently manage existing transportation assets and infrastructure, and third is to improve travel time and reliability for people and goods. Next slide, please. The fourth goal is to ensure that the transportation network supports economic development and accommodates future economic growth. The fifth goal is minimize and mitigate the impacts of the transportation system on the environment, including air quality, water quality, wildlife, and climate change. And the last goal is provide fair and equitable transportation access and service quality for all communities, with an emphasis on historically marginalized groups. Next slide. USDOT's Equity Action Plan and the desired outcomes were considered in the development of this plan, specifically the emphasis on wealth creation, understanding of power of community interventions, and expanding access. These factors were set forth by the FDA, and they're going to be continued to be considered as we work through implementing the plan over the next 4 or 5 years. Next slide. Now I'll pass it over to Shrivanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. So the recommendations outlined have been developed using the goals, vision, objectives discussed so far. NMCOG staff came up with the universe of potential projects for LRTP by meeting with each municipality and by conducting extensive public outreach process. Transportation investment program categories with specific allocations of funding within each 5-year period was determined for addressing regional needs beyond the first 5 years of the LRTP. And project prioritization includes transportation evaluation criteria, TEC, which is a scoring used to evaluate transportation improvement program TIP projects, design status of projects, readiness of each project. So in addition to this, each project is also screened to ensure that the project meets requirements set forth in BIL, the Clean Air Act and amendments, and the Americans with Disability Act. It also ensures if the plan is consistent or the recommendations is, or I'm sorry, if each project is consistent with local, regional, state plans, and if it complies with Title VI environmental justice requirements. So the first 5 years of 2025 to 2050 Regional Transportation Plan includes projects programmed in the federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028 Northern Middlesex Transportation Improvement Program, TIP. These projects are at various design stages, and development of TIP was presented to the MPO in the previous meetings. These projects listed here are non-target projects that are MassDOT's state program of projects. These include bridge replacement projects, safe routes to school project, and trail development project, to mention some. These projects were also discussed as part of federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028 Northern Middlesex Transportation Improvement Program, TIP. Projects that weren't added to federal fiscal year 2028 to 2024 to 2028 due to scoring or other prioritization methods are added to federal fiscal year 2029 to 2033 LRTP highway recommendations. And these include projects that are programmed through these are the projects that are MassDOT approved projects that are programmed through the first 10 years of the plan. And these projects are most likely to be constructed. The remaining years focus on setting aside funding for categories of transportation investments, and this includes projects recommended in 2034 to 2038, 2039 to 2043, and 2044 to 2050. So there are 5 NMMPO transportation investment programs, which are intersection improvement, safety investment program, roadway corridor improvements investment program, active transportation investment program, bridge rehabilitation reconstruction investment program, and transit facility investment program. So these are the investment programs that are recommended for the remaining years. The projects listed here in this table are infrastructure and regionally significant projects that have no identified funding source at this point. These include bridge projects that are typically funded through the statewide bridge program, as well as other projects that are funded through competitive grants or through statewide funding program. So the list of projects listed here are the recommended list of projects for federal fiscal year 2024 to 2028 LRTP transit recommendations, followed by the following years till 2050. And this includes bus replacement and facility updates and improvement projects. So as next steps, the draft will be released for a 21-day public comment period after addressing any questions and to release the document. A public meeting will be held on August 8th to hear any comments. Comments can be emailed to the email address on the screen, publiccomments@nemcog.org, or it can be mailed to our office at 40 Church Street, Suite 200, second floor, Lowell. In the next MPO meeting on August 23rd, NMCOG staff will present comments received, and upon that, upon approval by the MPO, MassDOT will sign the document, and the final LRTP document will be endorsed during the September 27 MPO meeting. We can take any questions now.
Great, thanks, Shrivanti. Good job. Just want to address something that you mentioned early on in the presentation about projects needing to be listed in the LRTP to be programmed in the TIP.
Yep.
Could you just clarify what where that comes from? Because I don't think there's any rules or requirements about that. I just was curious
No,
what the thinking was.
I thought that was the case. In order for a project to be on the TIP, it had to be in the RTP, or it had to be written in the RTP.
Yeah.
There's no requirement for RTPs to even list projects. RTPs are just sometimes just policy documents. So I just want to make clear that there is no requirement for actual project listings. The projects in the TIP have to be consistent with goals identified in the LRTPs, but LRTPs aren't required to even list projects. I think sometimes there's confusion around that. Like they do have to have, if they do list projects, they have to be fiscally constrained, and there's some rules around that. But I just want to make it clear that that there is no requirement for TIP projects to be in the LRTP.
Well,
yeah.
thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, we could kind of talk about it offline a bit more, but I just wanted to make sure MPO members were clear on that. So, if projects, because they only get updated every 4 years, wouldn't have to amend the LRTP if something changed, things like that. So, but yeah, we can clarify that piece offline.
So, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
About the public meeting on August 8th. Is that going to be just remote, or will it be in person also?
It is remote.
Remote only. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, with that, I'll ask for a motion and second to release the draft regional transportation plan out for a 21-day public comment period.
I'll make that motion to release it for 21 days.
Great, thank you. Motion having been made and seconded, go ahead and call the roll.
Derek Cravat,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Andrew DeLoria,
Yes.
Pat Wojcik,
Yes.
and Karen Coolio.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Move on to our next agenda item, which I believe is the Massachusetts Vehicle Census presentation. So we have here today with us Liz Williams, MassDOT's Director of Data and Policy, and Michael Melencio from our Office of Performance Management and Innovation, here to present on a great new dashboard that's been developed on vehicle registration and other great data from the RMV and elsewhere. So I'll turn it over to Liz and Michael.
Thank you so much, Derek. And can you hear me? Great, thank you. So as Derek said, my name is Liz Williams. I'm the Director of Data, the Director of Data and Policy in the Office of Transportation Planning at MassDOT. And I'm joined by my colleague, Michael Melencio of the Office of Performance Management and Innovation. And we're really excited to come and talk to you today and present as Derek said, the Massachusetts Vehicle Census, which we believe is a first in the nation data set that sets us up and sets you up to answer questions and conduct analysis that hasn't been possible before, and we're pretty sure isn't available anywhere else. So for context, as all of you know, we're the only state in the nation that collects odometer data regularly and in a way that's verifiable. That's at the time of vehicle annual inspection. So with that data, we've built a resource that joins what we know about how much those cars are being driven with information about those cars themselves. And so we can answer and you can answer important and timely questions. And I know some people on this call have emailed me asking for this data before, like how many vehicles are registered in my city or town and how many of them are electric. We can also answer questions like what's the difference between how much electric vehicles are driven versus fossil fuel vehicles. We're better equipped to respond to policy initiatives like needs assessments around electric vehicle infrastructure and the siting of electric vehicle charging stations. Some of you participate in the Green Communities program. And so we've been working with our partners at EEA to track the composition of municipal vehicle fleets. And we've also been working towards the Commonwealth's efforts to transition to electric vehicles for school transportation and tracking that. So we're really excited. We released the mass vehicle census in June, and we've sort of been on a road show presenting to all the TACs and the MPOs. What we're going to show today, what Michael is going to sort of walk you through, is our first iteration of the dashboard, which is a municipal level resource that will show you data according to, at first, 6 key performance indicators that we've picked out that we find particularly compelling. But we've also created a page for municipalities and MPOs specifically, so you can pull data down according to a number of different vehicle parameters and look at data in that more granular way. And we've also provided the data for download, so you can take a look into it at a more deeper level and start to sort of query your own sort of questions. Future iterations of the dashboard will present it at more granular temporal and geographic levels, so we'll get to update the data more frequently, and we'll be able to look inside cities or towns at the block group level to get a sense of where the differences are sort of within that sort of city level. And we're also excited to just further incorporate, new vehicle attributes and parameters. We're looking, one of the next steps we're looking to is to add a filter on vehicle status, meaning new versus used vehicles, so we can get a sense of how many different types of vehicles are being added to the fleet. Right now, I'll pause and turn things over to Michael, who can actually show off the dashboard and walk us through it.
Thank you, Liz. So as Liz said, this is the landing page for the Massachusetts Vehicle Census. It's publicly available right now. And so this dashboard and our vehicle census is driven essentially by 3 data sets. One is the vehicle excise tax. So based on the excise tax billing, we can tell when and where a vehicle is garaged, essentially which municipality the vehicle is garaged in. The RMV's active registration data, so we can tell when a vehicle is active and when a vehicle is not active. So based on that, whether a vehicle starts its registration or it expires or it ceases, and when someone moves out of state, we can kind of tell which days a vehicle is active throughout the 3 years in our data set within Massachusetts. And finally, we have vehicle excise tax and odometer readings. As Liz said, based on 2 odometer readings, we can tell between the time of odometer readings and the odometer readings themselves, essentially estimate the daily mileage for the vehicles. So with all that, we have all vehicles within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts at any day within January 1st, 2020 through January 1st, 2023. We can tell where that vehicle is garaged, the type of vehicle, whether it's active, and its behavior, or essentially its estimated daily mileage. So we have these 6 KPIs across the top: total daily vehicle count, which is the number of actively registered vehicles on January 1st, 2023. And as you can see below that, we have that compared to the beginning of our data, January 1st, 2020. So what we're looking at right now is across the Commonwealth is 5.257 million vehicles on January 1st, 2023, compared to 5.202 million vehicles on January 1st, 2020. So this data can also be broken down on this page by MPO, and likewise even further by the municipality within the MPO. And we can see the numbers broken down to the municipal level. So moving on, we have the percentage of the total count of vehicles which are classified as zero emission or hybrid. So what we're looking at right here is on January 1st, 2020, we started out with 2.0% of vehicles within northern Middlesex classified as zero emission or hybrid, and the increase to 3.5%. The next KPI is the daily vehicle miles traveled. So this is the sum aggregation of all the vehicles within the Commonwealth, and also we're looking at within the NPO of the estimated daily vehicle miles traveled for all the vehicles. The next KPI is taking the percentage of daily vehicle miles traveled, which we just looked at, and looking at only vehicles that are zero emission or hybrid. So similar to the percentage of total count of vehicles, we increased from 2.3% on January 1st, 2020 to 3.8% on January 1st, 2023. So that's 3.8% of all the daily vehicle miles traveled in vehicles garaged in northern Middlesex are accounted for by zero emission or hybrid vehicles. The next KPI we have is the average mileage per day. So what we're looking at here is on January 1st, 2020, vehicles within northern Middlesex were averaging 28.6 miles per day, and then 3 years later, it decreased to 26.9. Conversely, if you look at only zero emission or hybrid vehicles, it went from 32.6 to 29.8. And as we can see here, we can see that for all vehicles, we were averaging 26.9 miles per day, but for zero emission or hybrid vehicles, it's 29.8. So people who own zero emission or hybrid vehicles are actually driving more per day. And we have a second page, which is the municipal and NPO aggregations. So this allows people to kind of dig into the data a little bit further. You could slice it as you would like. At the top, we can look by NPO, municipalities within the NPO. We can go back and forth historically between 4 dates, January 1st, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. We can slice the data by advanced vehicle type, which is essentially the fuel propulsion system, whether we're looking at electric vehicles, fuel cell electric hybrid, plug-in hybrids, or fossil fuel. We can also slice the data by the vehicle use, which is the essentially registration plate type, whether it's registered for municipal, passenger, state, or commercial, and also the vehicle type, which is kind of the physical attributes of the vehicle, whether it's an ambulance, a bus, a truck, or a fire truck or motorcycle. And across the bottom, we have the breakdown within each grouping by each vehicle attribute. So what we're looking at here is for northern Middlesex on January 1st, 2023. Say we wanted to look at all vehicles that are not fossil fuel. So we have 8,000 vehicles, and of those 8,000 vehicles, 72.73% are hybrid electric, 16.42% are electric, and 10.85% are plug-in hybrid electric. If we want to look at of these non-fossil fuel vehicles, we can also look at the vehicle type, see that most of them are passenger, and look at the vehicle use. And again, most of them are passenger, followed by commercial. And we also have a third page, which provides kind of a cross matrix of the snapshot view at a single point in time. Again, we have 4 points in time: January 1st, 2020, 2021, 22, and 23. So what we're looking at here is January 1st, 2023. We can see that there were 4.634 million active registrations for passenger fossil fuel vehicles. Likewise, we have counts for hybrid vehicles, passenger zero emission, and also commercial. This page can also be filtered by individual municipalities or by fuel class. Our fourth page, the VMT detail page, is different than the last page. So this page is an annualized aggregation. So right now we're looking at the entirety of 2022 for every day from January 1st, 2022 to through December 31st, 2022. We take whether a vehicle is active or not. If the vehicle is active for 1 day or 10 days, 50 days, all 365 days, we take that vehicle's estimated daily mileage on that day, and we add that all up for all 365 days. So what we're looking at is for the entirety of 2022, 44.2 billion vehicle miles were traveled by vehicles registered by passenger fossil fuel vehicles that are garaged across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And similar to the other page, this can also be sliced by different municipalities or by fuel class. Finally, we have our About page, which has the background and methodology of how we came to this data set. And we also have links to the published data sets on GeoDot. So at the bottom of the page, one can click on a link and you have access to all 4 data sets, which are essentially driving the dashboard that we have. 2 of the data sets are at the point in time first of the year aggregation, and 2 of the data sets are at the annual aggregation. Each one of these data sets is also separated by granularity. So if you want to do some research or analysis, you can look at it either by the municipality or down to the zip code level within the municipality. And that is the vehicle census. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Great. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Liz. Any questions for Liz and Michael?
I have a question. When you started your presentation, you mentioned it was a municipal resource. Does that mean only cities and towns can use it, or can the general public use it?
It's open to the public. Yep. Anybody can get it. And Derek Schuster put the link to the dashboard in the chat. So you can, go ahead and take a peek.
Okay, thank you. I know some
Thank you.
people will be very interested in it.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Liz. Any other questions, comments?
Not so much a question, but this
Yeah.
is very well done and easy to use. So I for one appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And, we're, if people are interested in getting sort of regular updates on the dashboard, I've started to create like an email list so we can let you know when the next, we will let you know anyway, but we're setting up sort of a Gov delivery list so we can sort of keep people apprised about the changes and the updates that we're making, including, like I said, adding those new vehicle characteristics into the dashboard and updating the data a little bit more regularly. So we're very open. I should say too, like I said, Michael and I have been doing this sort of roadshow, and we've collected some really interesting research ideas and questions and comments and ideas for sort of policy initiatives. So it seems like there's a lot that people are thinking about. If folks want to email us directly, I think our email addresses are on this meeting request. So anyone can feel free to reach out with a thought, a question, idea. We're really open to making sure that this is as useful for more so you than it is even for us. So, but thank you so much, Derek, for the opportunity to come and talk today. And like I said, please feel free to share my email address with folks if they'd like to follow up.
Great. Sounds good. Will do. Thanks,
Great.
Liz.
Thanks, everybody.
Michael. Yep. Great presentation. Appreciate it. All right. We'll move on to other business. Is there any other business to come before the NPO today? It's like our next meeting is scheduled for August 23rd at 2 p.m. So we did have some amendments and stuff released for public comment today. So we'll definitely be meeting then. And so be sure to mark the calendar for that. All right. I think we can do adjournment with a voice vote. So I'll just ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Any comments or objections? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you, everyone. Without objection, we're adjourned, and we'll see you back here in August. Have a great
Thank
rest of the day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.